environment changes.
So I know there's a sort of storyline to what's happening here, right?
That's right. We'll split a second set in the universe of this like fake reality TV show. So when in the single player game mode, you're actually a contestant in the show, trying to win the episode and get through to the next one, all the way through a season, and ultimately become the season champ. So the races you're seeing, they're actually in these giant TV sets. So they're rigged with explosives and set pieces that the player can trigger. And that's the cool thing. All the effects you're going to see on screen are being triggered by the player or by the cars they're racing against. Nothing's pre-canned and predetermined.
Now, we just crashed out there, but this game's all about high-speed action, and the thing that's interesting is that setting off these explosions changes the environment in a very real way, right?
That's right. So we're opening whole new routes through the track. We open shortcuts. So really, the thing with these, we actually call them power plays, these big action moments.
Right.
And the thing with them is, it's really that kind of like the player has a strategy of, do they use them offensively to try and drop a bridge on their opponents or blow the track out from underneath their wheels? Or do they use it to actually open a whole new route and give themselves an advantage and a shortcut? So it's all about choosing when to use your power button, which is actually represented by the bar you see underneath the car. So when one of those segments is full, that means the player can actually trigger a power play in the environment. So whenever you see like an icon above an enemy car, that's when the time's right to let something go.
So is it fair to say that you can use these as offensive weapons and not just changing up the track?
Well, that's right, absolutely. So, I mean, also, if you throw a big explosion in front of someone, it's going to send them spinning off. What's really cool with it is that it doesn't immediately make them crash. It just puts you into this kind of like crash state. You can still, if you're good enough, recover the car, straighten up and carry on racing. But it's really, it's all about changing the actual track layout underneath the car, as well as throwing explosives left, right and centre in front of them.
I think that tower's about to come down, right?
That's one of the major power plays. So that one's actually changed the route. And so what happens here is that with the big power plays that take up the entire bar underneath, so when you see all three segments full, you'll notice the final segment is actually red. And so if you see any red highlights in the background, that actually means that you can trigger one of these big, actual game-changing moments that take out a lot of cars in one time, but also can change the whole route in front of you.
Looks like we're having some technical problems on this side, guys. So let's bring it back to me and Nick, and we'll keep talking about the game.
Okay, cool.
This is an airport. I hope we get to see the plane coming down, because that's a pretty impressive moment. But you have damage in the environments. But tell me about the damage on the cars themselves.
Yeah. So right now, what you're going to see, the damage in the cars is still very much work in progress. But when the cars are actually racing rounds, they get like scrapes and they get dirt and build up and that kind of stuff. But generally, when you're racing, the car stays pretty pristine. Right. But when you crash, we're going to have a really advanced damage system, which actually wraps the car around whatever object it smashed into. So you'll actually see a different crash state every single time, with damage that really reflects the impact. We're even going as far as, if you have a bad enough size on impact, the whole front of the car can get ripped off. So it's pretty major.
How are you? Tell me about the handling of the cars, I guess. Yeah,
okay.
This is obviously an arcade racer, right?
That's right. So we've deliberately kept it already easy to pick up and play, because in a regular racing game, you're worried about other cars that you're racing and the racing line and the corners, but as you can see there, you know, we've got a lot more going on. So right. We didn't want people to be so hung up on how to control the car. So it's got a great arcadey feel. You know, it's pretty simple to pick up and play controls, but there's actually a level of complexity to it as well. So for example, to actually start a drift is relatively easy, but to really master it so you can control it and at the exact angle around the corner, there is that level of complexity there as well. So hopefully it's something for everyone.
And we're talking about, do the cars have different feels and attributes to them?
Yeah, so the cars we're looking at mainly in this race are all kind of muscle cars, like muscular, but we've got other kinds of cars which we're going to talk about in more detail later in the year, but there's a wide range of, you know, faster cars and more armoured cars, and the main thing is they're all going to be competitive with each other, so you're not going to find that one car totally, you know, can wipe the floor with everyone else. Right. But they've all got different attributes. So, you know, the bigger, more powerful cars, maybe they're not going to be as affected as much by an explosion as one of the faster cars that maybe is much more, you know, susceptible to getting taken out by one of these blasts. So It's quite a balanced range of vehicles.
So tell me about the difficulty curve here. What are you doing to change the difficulty up? Is it the complexity of the course, how hard the AI drives, or a mixture? Or how are you doing that?
Well, it's a mixture of all those things. But actually, one of the really cool things with Split Second is that as you play through the game, so when you first get a track and you play it, not all of the power plays in the environment are going to be actually active for you to trigger. And as you go through the TV season, more and more get unlocked. So the bigger, more dangerous power plays get unlocked throughout the actual season.
Even on the same track? Even on a track you've been to before?
That's right. So what's really cool with it is that the tracks that you're used to progressively actually change during the season, so we can add more difficult power plays to navigate the further you get into the game. But I think that's a really cool thing, because I think normally in a racing game, when you first buy it, you play a track, and if you go back to that track 10 hours later, it's the same track. You might have a faster car, but it's the same track. And I think people are going to see the tracks are going to always give new content throughout the game.
So because of that, in this demo we're looking at, would this be an example of a track with every one of them unlocked?
Yeah, most of them. There's a few things we're going to hold back to surprise people with, but here's one of the big ones for this track. And
there's the plane.
That's the plane.
God.
Yeah.
That's so intense.
So yeah, I'd say this track probably has like 90% of the power plays you'd see if you've unlocked to go through the game. Yeah.
Well, it's a good way to keep people wanting to come back to the tracks they've already seen.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's take some questions from the audience, if you don't mind.
Okay.
James Foti from London wants to know what kind of online modes will there be in the game?
Okay, cool. Well, we're not actually talking about exact modes right now, but there will be 8-player online multiplayer. I mean, the previous game we worked on, like you said, was pure. So I mean, I think it's a given that whatever was in pure, you'll be able to find those.